Okay, Mindset by Design crew. So, you've had my awesome intro. I'm pumped about today's guest. And look at him. He's got an amazing beard, awesome headphones, and he's ready to go. Scott, really nice to meet you, mate.
Yeah, likewise. I'm excited to talk today and see where it takes us.
Who knows where it goes, mate?
Who knows?
Where are you right now? Let's start even there, mate. Where are you right now?
Yeah, we're in Northern California, right above San Francisco. After being in Venice Beach for a few years. I'm from Canada originally.
Yeah.
And then we actually just bought a second house in more of the Midwest. And so, we're working right now. So we're probably going to be Midwest. We're going to buy a place in Malibu and then a place in Hawaii, and then kind of go in between those three spots and hack the weather system.
Dude.
And the tax system. And
I understand both of those things.
And so it's really exciting. So we're just closing on our second place any day now. And who knows where I'm gonna be. We just had a kid 7 weeks ago.
Oh wow.
COVID happened, couldn't travel a whole lot. So as soon as we can travel, who knows where we're gonna end up. As soon as we can do that, who knows where we're going to end up?
Yeah,
we'll see what happens. But right now, that's where I am now.
No, that's beautiful, mate. So you know what? I lived in California mainly for like over 10 years, and I just spent my time in Southern California. I never even made it to like go by San Francisco.
It happens. It happens.
Stuck.
Yep. Well, SoCal will suck you in and don't let you go.
Mate, I've got a few questions about that one too, but it's COVID didn't stop me traveling, man. I lived between part in the US and then part in Latin America and other places. Beautiful. So I've been to I think 8 countries over COVID.
Wow, that's amazing. I love that. I mean, we got some traveling. We did a little bit of Mexico.
It wasn't easy,
but no, it's not as easy. And if there's any time to very much go all in on private flying, it was COVID. And it really funny side note. So we're figuring that whole situation out for next year. And 2 years ago, I reached out to NetJets, and they had the membership card and the whole 9 yards. And so I reached back out to them about 3 months ago to kind of figure out, because we're going to do it next year.
Cool.
They are like, oh yeah, we don't have anything until 2024. Our business has skyrocketed. And I was like, of course it did, because nobody wants to deal with.
Nobody wants to deal with that nonsense. That's a whole different conversation.
Yeah, a whole different conversation. It was mind blowing, because they went from, hey, you can have a membership and everything else, to, hey, the only thing we got is if you want to buy a quarter of the aircraft for the year.
Okay.
And so that was an interesting little switch. Anyways,
dude, yeah. But that's the way. That's the future. 100%, man. It's let's talk about where you've been for the past couple of years, mate, because you were everywhere. You were literally you were all over social media, and that's before TikTok. That's you know what I mean?
Before TikTok existed here, at least.
Yeah.
It's been so with 2018, 2019. So for anybody that doesn't know me, background, I've been an entrepreneur since I was 8. I had $1 million business by the time I was 16, lost it all by the time I was 21. And I'm 31 now. And so the last, 7 years have done me quite well.
Sure.
But 2018, 2019, about 14, 15, 16 months, somewhere around there, I made about $14 million in the business that I was running. Didn't make any money. I made that money, but I didn't profit anything. And so like a lot of businesses, and and so that made for a lot of reflection time. And I remember being in, me and my wife, we were part of this mastermind group, and we were in Necker Island with Richard Branson.
Nice.
And I was on, which, by the way, if you ever get the opportunity, chance to be in Necker Island, it's a beautiful place.
Awesome.
And so I was on the beach by myself. My wife was off, doing some mastermind stuff. I was just doing my thing. I was like, all right, what do I really want to create? What's in my imagination that I want to bring into my reality? Because I realized, at this point, and this, which is, our imagination dictates our reality. Our mind dictates our reality so deeply.
Really
And so I started writing out, like, what do I really want? Do I really want to have a 50-person team? Do I really want $600,000 a monthly expenses? Do I really? No, I don't want that. Right? What do I want? What's the one thing I really truly want? To be what everyone wants, to be relaxed. Right?
Yeah,
What's the number one reason people want money? To be relaxed. What's the number one reason people want to be in love? To be relaxed. What's the number one reason people want to be healthy? To be relaxed. Like the only thing that people really want, for the most part, unless their ego gets involved, is relaxation. And so I went. I said, you know what, this is not working. I sold part of the company, shut down the other part of the company. It cost me $1 million to do that, because you just can't stop a company one day and be like, all right, we're not going to pay any bills.
right.
And so, then from there, it was really some time of like finding, the word harmony is the best way I can put it.
Okay.
Which is let me find the best way in which I want to create my reality, from a place of intention, from a place of, I know I can make as much money as I want. I know I can do whatever I want. I've proven to myself at this point, I can do whatever I want.
Sure.
And, I read a really good Ray Dalio quote one time, and it was like, once you realize you can do anything but not everything, it really changes your life. And I was, and I really believe in that. And so then finally I got actual intentional about my life.
It's awesome.
I got really, really deep on, what parts of my life do I need ego in part of, and which ones don't I? And I went into this very introspective time, which was actually also the most profitable time in my life.
Is that right?
Like, I made more money in 2020 than 2015, 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019 combined in profit. Okay. In 1 year.
Dude.
Everyone's freaking out about COVID. I'm crushing it. And it continued in 2021.
It's awesome.
And then I took a sabbatical for about 5 months. And I said, I don't want to do anything. Let me get more in depth. Let me get even deeper. Where am I going? So the first part was, let me get control of my environment. So that I can be my natural, brilliant self.
Yes, I love it.
Now let me figure out where I want to go. Go ahead. Because I know I'm doing a monologue.
Oh, mate, no. This is I when I get interviewed, people have to shut me up. So because there's so much to get out, and you know what I mean. So, but that's what I loved about, like, I was going through your masterclass, and if you've never been through any of Scott's stuff, it's like, you're going to like wake up to what's going on in the truth of your business and life, for sure. But one of the awesome stuff, it's true, mate. But one of the beautiful things that you said, and I love it, it's like, you got to be ruthless about what you say yes to and what you say no to. I use it a different way, but I love the ruthlessness. Be careful what you say yes to, because you're saying no to something else, right? Yeah. Literally, that ruthlessness is, and that gives you what you were saying, that gives you alignment by really cutting off.
Yeah.
And so
deeply.
Did that deeply, right? Did that 5 months give that for you? Was it just cutting away what didn't work with people and places and things and business models?
Well, so it first happened in 2019, because we moved away from LA to up here, and in the middle of the forest, really.
That's awesome.
And LA is one of those beautiful spots where if you don't know yourself, you're going to really not know yourself.
I live that.
And if you do know yourself, you're going to crush it. Okay. If you move to LA, you don't know yourself. It's very difficult, because your ego can take hold very deeply, because it's like the land of the ego, LA. And I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. I'm just saying that is the truth.
It's the truth.
And so we came up here, and it was like, first it was, okay, what do I, let me pour back into me. I've spent 2015, 2016, all these years building for not really any real reason, just because, it all started with me trying to get out of $1 million in debt. And then I just kept going because I didn't know what else to do.
Right.
And so then, I was like, all right, well, now I have this beautiful multi-million-dollar home with a beautiful multi-million-dollar view. I have my supercar. I have everything I want physically in my life.
Nice.
Right. And so that was like 2020. And I was like, okay, cool. I poured into me. Now, what do I really want to wake up in the morning and do? What do I want to wake up in the morning and in the shower be like, what do I want to do today? And I didn't have a clear answer. And so that's why I took the sabbatical, right? I took the sabbatical because, I'm really good at what I do. I'm probably one of the best in the world for the specific thing that I do. I'm probably one of the best in the world.
I agree.
And well, where's this direction? Because I don't want to be just doing the same thing when I'm 31. I don't want to be doing the same thing when I'm 50. Just a bit. I want to be an entrepreneur, but I want to be doing innovation. I'm a creative. I see my business as art. Like, that's how I see it. I don't see my business as like this serious thing. Like, I see business as a form of play. And because of that, I said, okay, but what do I want to do? And so I took time away, and it was beautiful. It was the best thing I ever did. One of the best things I ever did. One of the most difficult things I ever did, because, I was burning almost $200,000 a month in investments and everything else. And so I just watched the bank account go down, the liquid cash go down. And it was one of the most beneficial money mindset things I ever did in my life. To be like, I'm just going to stop making money for a minute.
Right.
That was wild. I was like, I remember being in month 4 being like, damn, this is cool. and so that was beautiful. And so then when I came back, I was like, okay, I'm really good at what I do. I'm really good at helping people build 7+ figure businesses.
Yeah.
I want to help education. I want to help the world when it comes to being educated. And I want to change over the next 20 years the education system, because when I was growing up, I grew up in a very small town in a place called Newfoundland and Labrador in Canada, on the east coast of Canada. Gotcha. I grew up in a town with 9,000 people. I lived on about 13 acres of land, which, essentially a farm. I had a bunch of learning disabilities. School was very difficult for me. I was not some whiz kid school guy.
No, me neither.
And so I look, the next 20 years is going to be some of the most evolutionary times for our world, for consciousness, for everything. And we're not ready for that. And our economy is going to change so drastically over the next 5 years, over the next 10 years.
Talk to you about that.
The people are not ready. There are skills, both physical skills, spiritual skills, relationship skills, self skills, that are not taught by schools, not taught by institutions, not taught by parents. I want to help those people. And so I said, okay, you know what? That's something I can be like, everything in my life has to come from the energy. Not everyone's like this, but from me, everything I build and create, I build because it was for a past version of me. I got a book coming. Yeah, go ahead.
No. That was, I'm just agreeing with you, mate. I'm on the journey with you. Carry on.
And so, I have a new book coming out. I have The Nuclear Effect, which I highly recommend picking up. You can get it on Amazon or thenucleareffect.com for $1. It's my book on scaling 7-figure businesses. It's had 60,000 copies sold, which is amazing for such a small niche, type of thing.
Yeah, for sure.
But my next book's called $1 Million in the Red. Okay. And I wrote that book for the person, for me at 18, so I didn't go $1 million in debt. And so everything I do is based on that. And I said, okay, you know what? I am going to, so I was there, I'm going to borrow Warren Buffett's model of going into an industry and essentially creating a moat around the entire industry. Awesome. I'm going to transition from being an entrepreneur and business owner to being an investor and advisor and mentor only, which is my plan over the next 3 or 4 years.
Yes.
And I said, and then I started architecting what exactly is needed for this to be able to happen over the next 10 or 20 years. I see the big vision. Do I know all the pieces? No, because the truth is, once you know the vision, once you know what makes you feel, what gives you goosebumps. I got goosebumps right now just talking about. When it gives you goosebumps, the universe is conspiring for you. You don't have to worry about anything anymore. And that is sometimes what you have to take the momentum away. I remember a quote from years ago, and I can't remember who it's from, but it said, in lack of clarity, take massive action. Well, I would add to this, when you have massive momentum and you don't know where it's going, slow the hell down. So you understand where you're going to end up.
Yeah.
So that's where we bring today. And that's what I'm doing today. That's what I'm excited about today. And all doing it while being in harmony, working less than 20 hours a week. I want to be there. We had our son Arrow born, like I said, 7 weeks ago. And that's very, very important to me. Yes. And, if I have to do something that takes more than 20, 25 hours a week, it's a no. And there's no amount of money that's going to get me to negotiate against that. And so that's why when I talk about being ruthless, you got to be ruthless in what you know, Problem is, so many of us are going around, don't know what we're actually ruthless about. And it's so important.
Or it's perceived of what, like somebody, like when you lived in LA, right? And I love what you said, because if you don't know yourself, then you're going into something and they will tell you who you are, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
The box. Yeah, here's the
Yeah,
box.
yeah. And
You fill this
social
box.
media is
Yeah,
doing that, man. Social media is doing that for people. It's telling them what success is. It's telling them what happiness is. It's telling them what they should be, shouldn't be doing. And it's heartbreaking, to be honest, man. It's heartbreaking, you know? So what you're saying is like, it's basic stuff, meaning
it's so basic.
Reverse engineer what you want. Start with the outcome and stop chasing stuff, man. Stop
anything
chasing.
anything besides you want. Yeah. And the thing I would say is the easiest way to design the outcome is to not design the goal, because the first thing we're going to go to, I want $1 million in the bank. Every entrepreneur,
right.
Every entrepreneur, I want $1 million in the bank. I guarantee you the worst moment I ever had, I had $1 million in the bank. I was like, no, what the hell am I supposed to do now?
Now what, man?
Right? Now what? And so any goal you have, you're going to have 3 days of happiness, and every day after is going to be depression.
Dopamine.
Okay. Yeah, exactly. Because now you need a new goal, or you're not going to be happy anymore. And so what I realize is that if we can architect the feeling in which we experience, and we understand how to construct the feeling using our reality, that is how we get happiness. That is how we get fulfillment. Now, how do you construct a feeling? So the easiest way to construct a feeling is to go and find what that feeling is, whether it's on a vacation or it's on, whatever it might be. Time. Generally, it's easiest to get this on time away, when you're like, all right, let me just close the book, let me close the calendar, let me close the phone calls, let me stop, and let me go find the feeling, and let me figure out how I can recreate that feeling always.
Yes.
And that's going to be a journey, right? I've been on the 3-year journey since I was on Necker Island, May of 2019.
Nice.
And I could say that when I read what I wrote, I'm purely there now. Now, that's even fascinating to say, because even with not getting 12 hours of sleep anymore and getting 7, which, by the way, is amazing, having a newborn. He sleeps like me, which is amazing. But even what I wrote, when I read it a week ago. I have it in my drawer. I read it. I was like, wow. And I was like, wow. And you know what was interesting about it? What was interesting about it is, once I read it, I didn't have the need to go and write a new one.
Because you felt
because I felt whole in which that was. And I was like, well, if I just keep doing this for the end of time, I'll do everything I'm supposed to do on the planet. That's beautiful. And that's very different than a goal.
That's very different from a goal. And it's also, it's a purpose for sure, but it's congruence, right? It's calibration. It's harmonization with what you truly are. Your intuition is pulling you towards. If you're here for a specific reason, most people just get lost in the mist. They get lost with the noise. But if you can get rid of that noise, clear that smoke, life becomes really, really simple, right?
And easy. And easy. And I would say, I was watching this interview a couple of years ago from Robert Downey Jr. on the Joe Rogan podcast.
Yes.
And I really love him. And the way that he explained it was brilliant. And he said, well, there's almost like this magnetic thing that pulls you. And you're like, it's silent, it's invisible, but it pulls you.
Yes.
And that's alignment. Yes. Right? That's alignment. And you can call that the universe, you can call it your intuition, you can call that whatever it might be, but it's a silent line. And what I've learned in my life is, when we listen to it and when we go with it, no matter what it says, our life is much like a movie script, and a good one. And we find what we're here to do. We're things, we don't have to go uphill anymore. And the problem is, go back to just in education in total, no one teaches us to follow that.
No. No,
Nobody teaches us how to follow
nobody,
that.
man. Because society is a machine. It's a business, right? And it wants you to be a cog in that mechanism. It doesn't want you to be a free thinker. It doesn't want you to start businesses that it can't earn money from. It doesn't want you to be bouncing around the world and not dodging tax, being very careful and being strategic with your investments, right? It doesn't want you to do that. It wants you to get to work, pay your stuff, get your mortgage, be still and be quiet. And the challenge with that is we're a soul. And because of that, it means that we're here to experience, we're here to express, like what you beautifully said, you were an artist, you know, and we're supposed to create group, whether you're talking atoms, whether you're talking your filter in your brain, whether you're talking neurological patterns, whether you're talking the universe, it doesn't matter, right?
Yeah.
If we vibrate, and we'll go there, we're going there, but if we vibrate, then it's about that frequency. And the duality of what goes around us is not, it's not good or bad, it's not it's negative or positive, it's things to create momentum.
Responding.
It's
responding. And it's responding to us. It's responding to us. And so that's why I'm such a big believer of, I mentor a lot of entrepreneurs that are making, you know, sub a couple $1 million a year. And you know, and my hopes in mentoring them is that one day I'll be able to, you know, be an investor and advisor in their business. And it does end up happening a lot. And you know, one of the big things that I get them to do almost all the time, first thing that they do when they work with me, I say, oh, your first assignment, I don't want you to go make any more money. I want you to go and I need you to take your dream vacation right now. I want you to plan your dream vacation. Right. And it got to happen within a month.
That's awesome.
And here's your budget. Here's your budget. All right. Because I know how much money they have in their bank account. I know what they can afford.
Right.
Right. So I tell them. So I have one client and I got them to do this. And they haven't gone on vacation for years. Years. Right. They got $500,000 in the bank.
Right.
And I'm like, and they're proud of that. That's a big thing to be proud of, even if you know they don't anymore because I got them to start spending it because of inflation. But we can talk about it a different time. and so I got them to spend $30,000 on a vacation.
Dude.
Okay. Now that to a lot of people, for most people, that's like, what kind of vacation is that? Okay.
A good one.
And it is a good vacation. And I was like, I want you to experience the frequency of never thinking about what something costs, but by what you automatically with your consciousness want. Okay. And forget everything else. It's like, you're going to spend that money and this is a business investment. Okay.
Interesting.
Well, he came back, this person came back. They made in the next 3 months, more money than they made in the last 2 years combined. Okay. Now, some of it's business strategy, let's be honest.
Yeah,
but it was the fact that they were able to tap in to a different level of consciousness than in which was their own. And if we're able to hack the level of consciousness, which is the frequency in which we're essentially, if you want to go to that next level, it's generally not the strategies, the tactics, those types of things. It is being able to feel and experience the frequency, which is that. Okay. Great exercise to be able to do this because I love being able to bring some tactical and strategic things I'm sharing with people. So it's not just big ideas and people are like, well, Scott talked about something about frequency. So let me.
Right.
And so great. This is a great exercise. This exercise made me into, you know, a decamillionaire at this point.
Awesome.
Okay. So exercise, if you're listening to this, watching this, you just close your eyes on a scale of 1 to 10. I want you to put you somewhere. 10, you're a billionaire. 1, you're homeless. All right, I want you to put yourself somewhere in the middle of that. Most people I find end up being on a 4 or 5, right? They end up being on a 4 or 5. So I want you to detail your life. All right, you pay X for rent, you have the X car, you're able to do X, Y, and Z, whatever it might be. And I want you to get that in your mind. And of course, you're going to be able to spend more time with this after this actual episode. And then now I want you to go to 1 level up. Okay, so if you're driving a Toyota Corolla today in your thing, now you're driving the BMW you want. Right? If you're used to having $20,000 in your bank account, now you have $250,000. If you're used to having to look at the cost of food when you go out to eat, well, you don't do that anymore. So I want you to start detailing all the things in your reality that are now different. Now, so I want you to get used to that, maybe spend 5 to 10 minutes with that. And now I want you to go back to your normal reality and feel what it feels like to be in your current reality versus that reality, whether it's a constriction of energy or an expansion of energy or a scared feeling. And now what I want you to do, I want you to go down to 4, right? So I want you to go down to, well, you can't actually drive a Toyota Corolla anymore. You got to sell that. And you've got to get a 30-year-old Toyota Corolla. That's a bit of a piece of junk. Nothing against Toyota Corollas, was my first car, but now you can't. You know, if you had a 3-bedroom house, now you have a 2-bedroom house,
Right.
in not such a good part of town.
Right.
Now you only have 1 month of money in the bank, or maybe you only have a couple of weeks of money in the bank. Right now you're fighting with your significant other about money. Now I want you to get there, and I want you to go back to 5, and then I want you to go back to 6, right? In your mind, this is an exercise that I did almost every night for years. Okay. And then I want you to go to 7. Now what's going to happen is your mind's going to start getting very scared of going up or down a significant amount of frequency, which is what we're talking about here. Now we're using physical things to trick your mind here, right? We're using supercars. We're using things that, you know, at the end of the day, don't really necessarily matter, but it's the easiest way that your mind has gotten taught to be able to understand this. So we go to 7. Now you have millions of dollars in the bank. You don't think about really anything. You got a couple of houses. There's just pure abundance. You don't really need to kind of think about a whole lot. You wake up in the morning, your verbiage is, what's the opportunity? Your verbiage isn't survival. Your verbiage isn't thriving. It's, what's the opportunity today? What do I get to do? Now, here is what we're trying to do. You go from 1 to 10, you know, and this is going to take an hour. This is an hour meditation if you're going 1 to 10.
Awesome. Once
you get going, it's less, because you're just going in between. And here's what we want to do. We want to make it so that your mind is so much into the version that you desire, which is one version up. It's so neutral that it's as if it's already happened. Now, this is what happens when you do this. You start to make decisions based upon the next level of consciousness instead of your current level of consciousness.
Beautiful.
When you make decisions up on your next level of consciousness, what happens? Your imagination turns into reality because you're making the decisions of your future self.
Beautiful.
That one exercise.
That's awesome.
Will change your life.
Thank you for that, man. That's powerful for everyone listening, even myself, man. It's like there's always the next level. And it's not necessarily of attainment, of accumulation. It's the next level of what you want to experience your life as. That's the big difference, man. And it's even interesting.
And I'll just say just as a note,
please.
You can take this and go in every life area. Your kids, your significant other, your health, your everything. And I only use business because it's what we're talking about today, and it's what I talk to people about. But when I wanted to have even a better relationship with my wife, this is what I added. When I look at, well, how do I want to show up as a dad? Again, same thing. And by doing this, I'm able to take the future self and bring them into the now.
It's very beautiful, man. It's beautiful, because what you've added there is there's so many elements. I teach it with what we're doing is I'm building the patterns and the neurology to be that person, so you're able to make decisions at that level, right? So it's a feeling. But what you've done is that you've taken that and added actually the feeling of consciousness, what it's like to vibrate at that level, what it's like to experience at that level. And I don't know if everyone, what we're talking about right now, right? It's like there's so many people who go, oh, I'm spiritual, I get it, you know, all of this. And that becomes an egotistical thing right now.
Correct.
Right? It becomes an attachment to an identity of ego, and it's not real knowledge. It's not wisdom, right? Where you're coming from with that is wisdom, right?
Yeah. Well, it's really interesting because first it's knowledge, then it's experience, then it's wisdom.
Yes.
Wisdom is the embodiment of knowledge and experience.
Love it. And it's the absolute truth, an absolute truth. So
it is. Yeah. Cause it's like you've lived it. And I mean, you know, and that's, it you can learn a lot from someone that's knowledgeable, right? You know, you look at people that teach maybe business, for example, but never ran a business.
Right.
Teaching a master's program in business, an MBA, is very different from learning from someone that's done it for years upon years and actually been through it. Two totally different things, and you're going to get two totally different experiences based upon which one you're obtaining and you're experiencing.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. In every aspect, mate. And I love it. And that's why it goes back to what I love where you're coming from with your heart about changing the educational system. Because where I grew up was just straight blue collar, straight, like, it's like your job when I left school, your options were factory, military, or go and become an electrician, right? That's how I grew up. I've moved way away from there. And my ambition is to create such a legacy, but not just necessarily monetary legacy. It's to be able to create, just amazing people as much as I can, you know, because I've been through a lot of stuff. No one was there for me when I was younger. You know, I've been through bankruptcy. I went through a nervous breakdown. I've been through all that stuff when I was the top performer in 2 different countries in sales. And it was only when I was putting together a development company, a resort, when I was like 27, took it to Dubai, selling it down, business partner steals my money. I go through bankruptcy. I go through a nervous breakdown. I was living in New Zealand on my own. My 5 Series BMW got taken away. I was like, all right, now what? Well, that's when I went to LA and I started helping people with performance. And helping people. And the truth is, all I want to do is make sure that people don't have to go through the same pain that I went through. And if everyone was on this page in the entrepreneurial world, man, isn't that
so much easier? Yeah,
isn't that
so much easier. Yeah, so much easier. Yeah, and it's kind of like, you know, being able to help people through the experiences that they're going through, because you can't ever teach somebody, you know, the best experience is obviously experience.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's being able to be like, all right, well, what do I do now? Like how do I go about this? Like a lot of what I end up doing in my business is helping people. They come to me and they're doing, you know, let's say they're doing $500,000 a year or $2 million a year, $3 million a year. And they're like, well, I got momentum, but I don't really, like, I got an idea of how to do this, but I've never done this before. Yeah. And so a lot of times what I do is I'm like, all right, this is where your life is. This is where your business is. This is where you want to go. Here's probably the most optimized way based upon all the experience I have. Right. Let's combine that with your intuition of like what you feel makes sense. Let's combine that with your life. And here is what's going to make it so that, because I've, you know, earlier on, I helped a lot of people scale very successful businesses and become very depressed because money doesn't equate happines.
I've worked with a lot of those people.
Yeah, exactly. And so it happened to me too. I remember in 2017, I made $7 million, and I went from being $1 million in debt to, you know, not needing to worry about anything. And, you know, I smoked more weed in 2017 than I smoked when I was $1 million in debt.
Wow.
Like I was $1 million in debt, and I was happier than in 2017 because at least I knew I was doing something. Right. Like at least I woke up in the morning. I woke up at 5 or, you know, generally about 4 in the morning when I was $1 million in debt. This is like 2010, 2011. Yeah. At least I wake up and I know what I'm doing. But you wake up, everything's going good, and you're just like, what the heck do I do now? And so, you know, in 2017, that's how I ended up meeting my wife. I said, well, I'm just, you know, I got this great thing about me where I'm not attached to a whole lot.
Right.
And so in 2017, I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna kill that business. I got some money. I'm gonna go travel the world, and I'm just gonna like see what happens. Well, 4 weeks later, I met my wife, so I didn't travel that much. But what I did do was a journey within.
Yeah.
And so but back to the notion, which is you can build a $3 million business, $5 million business, $10 million business. You can have $1 million in cash flow coming to you a year, all these different types of things. And if you don't know what type of life you want, it's just money and stress, right? It's just money and stress. But if you're optimized, you know what you want. Right. It's opportunity and energy. Because what is money? It's energy.
It's energy. It is only energy. Yeah.
It's energy. And so that's why, you know, I love doing what I do, because I get to help. In my opinion, I get to help the universe conspire on what it's doing by helping people utilize, create, amplify their energy.
Yes. Yes. As a
which
collective.
is how the universe becomes better and
yes,
expands.
As a collective. Yeah. Yeah. I love it, man. And you know, it's like why, like, there's so many people out there right now, right? And we'll talk about your audience. We'll talk about your what you're building with the investment side and the equity. I think it's golden. I think it's a massive opportunity. I know I'll be working with you soon enough, Scott, for sure. Like, for sure. Timing is always perfect, and it's like there's so much of this entrepreneurial space right now. It's become an identity in itself. I'm an entrepreneur. Well, what the hell does that even mean, man? Right? You're an entrepreneur. Well, what does that mean, right? But then you get all of these businesses, and what do they really do? Do you know what I mean? The agencies, the this, the that, but what do they really do? They don't help people. They help themselves. Yeah. And I see marketers, and marketers is an interesting word these days, man.
It is. Well, it's one of those things where people are like, oh, Scott, he's a great marketer. I'm like,
wow. Yeah.
I agree. I don't disagree, but the word has become, this I feel like it's like the new version of snake oil. You know what I mean? It's a new version of snake oil. And so I'll give you a cool little framework that I've been working on. You probably haven't seen this in mine, but I've been working on this. It's probably going to end up being a book, and it's called The Levels of Consciousness for Business.
I was about to ask you for that book, dude. I was going to ask you.
I'll get it to you. Just message me after. I'll get it to you. Okay. And by the time this is out, it'll probably be available. We're going to do a mini book first. I base this work with a friend of mine, a mentor, and then a friend of mine, Frederick Dotson, which I love his work.
Awesome.
And so he's been doing levels of consciousness work for 20 years. And I said, okay, well, hey, let me come, work with you. Let me understand it. And he wrote the foreword to this. We're probably going to expand the book later into the future, but it's very simple to understand, and it plays perfectly into what you're talking about. So there's essentially, let's call it 4 versions of level of consciousness, pure level of consciousness that we get to see on a daily basis: reactive consciousness, willful consciousness, intellectual consciousness, and intuitive consciousness.
Yes.
So what you're talking about in marketing is primal reactive consciousness. Buy this thing. If you don't buy this thing, you're going to be a terrible husband. Buy this thing, you're never going to get laid. Buy this thing, you're never going to make money. So it's very reactive. This is traditional direct response marketing.
Primal
reactive. So it's primal, kind of reactive
survival
marketing. Yes, it's survival. Yeah, 100%. Right. So on one side, on the lowest side, we have primal. On the highest side, we have metaphysical. All right. So we're not talking about those because we can't really sell to those people for the most part. Right. If we're here talking about this stuff, we don't have the ability to talk. We don't even have the ability to do that. But it's all based on manipulation. Right. Not even persuasion, but pure manipulation. Right. And so this is the element, which is another part of what I love talking about, I love helping people with, is to align your business, your marketing, your sales, your operations, your delivery, your finances to the level of consciousness that you are. Okay. And then to know that allows you to make the right decisions. So I'll give you a perfect example. If you are selling an intuitive product and you put a countdown timer on the page, that page is going to do terribly. It's going to be a terrible launch. It's going to be a terrible time. Okay. Why? Because you said it at the beginning when we talked. The universe takes care of all the timing. Right. Everything's in perfect time. Right. When you are in any level of intuitive consciousness, a timer is completely against anything that will persuade us to take action. Why? Well, if we go to a page and we feel like it's the right time, we buy. And if we go to a page and it's not the right time, we don't buy. We don't look at external elements. Now, if you create a sales page and you're going to a reactive or willful audience and it doesn't have a countdown timer, it's not going to sell. If you go to an intellectual audience and you don't give them a reason why the offer is going to expire, it's also not going to do well. So the intellectual person needs to know why. All right, well, there's only 25 spots this week, only 25 spots this month. right? I only take 150 slots a year intellectually. Oh, well, that's because of capacity and delivery. Okay, cool, sweet. Let me get in on that. Intuitive person's like, well, if the spot's there, it'll be for me.
That's true. That's absolutely true. The scarcity isn't going to pull you or not, because it's again, you're going to trust where you are in your life, trust that person. It's going to synchronize, or it's not.
Exactly. And so if you align and you understand your marketing and your sales, and so here's the problem, here's the issue. Almost everyone out there is teaching only reactive, willful marketing. And you got a lot of people like yourself. You got a lot of people that are intuitive intellectuals, okay? Intuitive intellectuals. So if you're purely intuitive, it's very hard to run a business, right? You're generally not going to have a great business. It's going to be very hard because you can't ground your intelligence, knowledge, and wisdom into the 3D reality.
Yes.
Okay. Exactly. So people are in front of you and they're like, oh my God, my mind's blown, but you just can't get any traction. Yes. So the best place for business is intellectual intuitive, where we're able to take our intellectual consciousness, combine it with our intuitive consciousness so that we're able to understand the big plan, the strategy, but we can still be like, all right, let me hire a person for this and this and this and this. Now, what I do on a daily basis is help the intuitive person become more intellectual in their business, the willful person become more intellectual, and the intellectual become more intuitive so that they don't just go with the plan, but they go with their intuition and their gut.
That's huge. No one's doing that, dude.
Nobody's doing it. It's
Nobody's doing that.
Nobody's doing it. And I'm so excited about it because it builds entrepreneurs that actually wake up in the morning and is like, yo, I'm balling. I'm having a good time. I'm fulfilled. I'm here doing what I'm supposed. I'm reproducing what I feel every day. Again, and that is
like by going back to Necker Island, right? You got that feeling there, and then you're living it now, and you want to be able to get other people to experience that same way of life.
Because I know what happens. It's like your life is magical. Your life is magical. It's like you're living in a dream-like state of your self-created utopia.
You become the hero of your own movie.
Yeah, you can become the hero of your own movie, and you can change the script at any time.
Yes, that's the truth. Once you remove that fear, right? Once you remove the fear of attachment and understand what you're talking about, then you can just start again and again and again and again and again and again with a new, whatever you're pulled to next. That's no one's teaching that, mate.
No. So that's another part, that's another cool part of what I mean, obviously there's only
not everyone's going to understand.
Not everyone's into that. Not everyone's into that, right? Not everyone's into that. But the thing is, I said, okay, you know what? I want to work with the people that I want to work with at this level. Your clients aren't always going to be the people are like, that are exactly like you. A lot of my clients are intellectual, intuitive people.
Yes.
And those are the people I partner with. Those are the people I invest in, advise. And I'm like, you know what? I can't. So one of the certification programs, I'm really big in the certification program.
Yes, I know you are.
And because I believe that's what's going to change education in the future, right? You look at someone, you're like, oh, you know what? I want that skill. Let me go and let me have an immersive in that. I don't want to learn from an institution. I don't need some initials behind my name. I need the skills. I need the understanding. I need the knowledge and the experience. So one of them is a relationship coaching certification. So to help people be relationship coaches.
Oh, interesting.
Now, I think everybody should have a relationship coach, or at least at some point during points in your relationship, particularly at the beginning. And why? Because you got two people that communicate completely differently. And if you can understand how to both communicate the same way, the ROI of your relationship is going to be a lot higher. The happiness is going to be a lot higher. And more than likely, the ability for it to actually sustain time is also going to be much higher.
Yes.
Right.
Love it.
And
Love
so now this is not something that I can go teach. Okay. Right. I don't want to teach it. I don't talk about it. But we're now certifying like hundreds upon hundreds of certification coaches to be able to experience something that deeply impacted my life with my wife first when we came together in having that type of coaching, so that we're like, we met and got married within 6 months. Okay.
Amazing.
And so, which was amazing. It was just absolutely amazing. We have an amazing relationship. We're almost together for 5 years in a couple of months.
Nice.
And if we didn't have that help at the beginning, there would have been a lot more difficulty being able to be eye on eye and being able to be in this masculine, feminine support system that a relationship relies upon.
Right.
And so that's just one example of, okay, I want to go and help this person's in this intellectual, this person in this case is very intuitive. I need to bring the intellectual in.
Right.
I'm going to advise their company. I'm going to make it so that hundreds of thousands of people, because I help them, hundreds of thousands of people have better relationships. One single leverage point created a ripple effect. And this is what I realized on my sabbatical. That's the people I got to help. The people that can have the ripple effect of hundreds of thousands and millions, because I'm not the one to help people at that scale.
But that's beautiful. That's beautiful. Instead of taking, you're giving to create the ripple, right? And
create the ripple.
Create the ripple. That's a brand in itself, mate. Create the ripple. You know? But that's awesome, man. So we're gonna wrap it up in a minute because I got some more stuff to ask you. But like, Scott, like if you were to put because people come on this podcast, right, to watch this. Obviously used to me, I talk science, I go neuroscience, I'm talking this, I'm talking performance, talking this, and I'm also talking deep spirituality and stuff. But they come on and give it this Scott, right? And we know Scott, he builds 8-figure, 10-figure businesses, he helps all these people, and then they listen to this and they've gone, that's not the Scott we thought it was. Right?
Yeah.
They've come for tactics, they've come for logic, they've come for strategies, they've come for ad spends, right?
Yeah.
Of course that's what you do.
Yeah.
Right. But this is who you are.
Yeah. Well, and I think the other part is like all those questions, this builds the self-trust and resourcefulness that makes it so that you don't have those questions any longer. That's the like if you want to really scale your business.
Yes.
It's not strategies and tactics. It is, but it's not. Because once you know yourself, you understand your mindset, you understand just a few of the things that we've been talking about here today. You can go and you can build the funnel that is your best converting funnel. You can go and spend money on ads because you trust yourself to be able to figure it out. You go and whatever it is, because everything in business comes back to self-trust, and seeing yourself and looking in the mirror and be like, I'm gonna figure it out. That's it. Like that is it. And once you realize that that's the case, then you can go and hire the mentor or the coach or whatever to get the strategies, the tactics, whatever it might be.
Right.
But being able to put it into your container. I see so many people, well, follow me up the mountain. I'm like, well, you might be going up the wrong side.
Right.
You got to go up in yours. You got to go up the way you want to go up. Right. Because there's a billion ways to go up the same mountain. You got to find your way to be able to go up, but that requires self-trust, and that requires knowing yourself, and that requires a lot of mindset work. That requires and it requires a deep level of universal. I trust the universe because I know I'm divinely guided. And once you have that, you're done. It's like it's all over. Like any roadblock is no longer a roadblock. Just life is the opportunity now.
It's badass, man. That's a beautiful place to finish for today. And everyone, I'm going to put Scott links everywhere. You need to go and check him out. Whatever level you're at, whatever it is, you're going to get golden nuggets constantly. And you need to get on his mailing list. You need to get his books. You need to get everywhere. And I mean that hand on heart, because I don't do many interviews anymore, Scott. I really don't. I don't get people on anymore, but you're someone I've watched for a long, long time. And it's like, again, I'm pulled, right? So I got to tune in, and everyone, go and follow Scott.
Thank you. I appreciate that so much. And if you're watching this, excited to meet you, have my words in your world, and to be able to help you with whatever it is that you're doing, you're building, you're experiencing. So I appreciate that so much, and the opportunity to do that. It's been great talking to you today.
Absolutely. Take care, everybody.